Hello and welcome to MSE 402, Project Management. My name is Dale Deerdorf. I'm your facilitator, instructor, and coach for all the sessions in the course modules. And we're going to start with a video introduction for you for week one, module one, and it's going to be based on the introduction phase of a project. Starting a project is going to be what our overview is going to be covering. And what we want to do is we just want to give you a 10,000 foot view of all the components, everything that we're going to talk about. Now, we've already introduced you into that Pracademic project management model, and it has those different phases in it. So the phase we're talking about this week is the introduction phase. The introduction phase is based upon 5 separate pieces. Now, you may be working on a project, and it may be in this particular, I'll call it sequence, or this particular area, and it may not have a project charter yet. It may not have been initiated as an official project yet. You may not even have official funding to work the project yet. It may be considered overhead or R&D work up until this point. But in the introduction phase, the areas that we should be looking at are going to be putting project resumes together for the people or the participants. Who do we need on the project? You know, we should be reviewing that to really understand what we think we're going to need. Now, the people that we do have assigned already may be a skeleton crew. And that skeleton crew has to put together a team contract of some sort, norms, start to develop some sort of practices that they can then float into the team charter later on when we get into initiating the project, but at least some level of ground rules for what we're doing. Another thing we should be doing is we should be looking at best practices from other projects that have been conducted that are similar to this. So that should be part of the project team, I'll call it at this point's review. And at this point, it may still be a proposal team. So this could be the proposal team working together here. So the project proposal that you'll see that we've identified for you here is something that you're going to be doing for us with a company called ECS. ECS is a simulated company. You're going to have a 6-week simulation that you're going to walk through, and there'll be multiple decisions that have to be made. In addition to that, you're going to be creating a variety of different project-based components. And then finally, the project selection is something that's going to be done at this point. ECS has a portfolio of, say, 12 to 25 different energy type of companies or projects available, and your group is going to actually be selecting one of those. So that will be one of the assignments that you've got for this week. So let's just take a peek at what we've got lined up for you in week one, because it's going to seem like there's a lot of different moving parts, and I want to make sure that we're always providing you the information that you need. So let's go first. And we'll take the top row first, then we'll jump to the bottom row. So first week, I've got a week one lecture for you on the introduction phase. Now that is, a lecture that has been recorded already. It talks specifically about the introduction phase of a project and all the components of it. Make sure you get in and watch that. It's got some great information for you, and it'll help you with the other assignments. Now, in addition to that, this week, we have a live Zoom lecture, and that's going to be based on what is a project. And I will be walking you through a live lecture of the components of a project. So make sure you attend that. If you can't attend the live lecture, there is an option also for you to get credit for it by reviewing the recorded session and then answering specific questions. In addition to that, ECS has got a series of questions for you that they are going to be forwarding to you. Now, my role as an instructor in the course is going to be dual. I'm functioning also as a member of the ECS PMO, the Project Management Office, and I will be forwarding off to you videos, snapshots, questions, and on a weekly basis, you're going to be asked questions specifically on what your responses to that would be. Your team leader should be the one that will be formulating the official responses to that, and on a weekly basis, we rotate that team leadership role as a project manager. So each week, one of you will be a project manager, and then you'll hand that off to the person the following week so that they can run with it. Now, You can see here you've got an ECS PMO message that's going to be based upon a key resource for you this week. He's a mega driver SME. His name is Nigel Fields, and we're asking you if you can use him. So there will be a response area for your team to come back and give us an indication as to whether or not you will be able to use them. There's 3 full questions there. Make sure you answer all 3 of those. Now, let's go ahead and go down one level deeper, and let's talk from right to left. And that right to left is going to be on my screen, probably not yours. So let's go over to your individual assignments for the week. You can see that you've got 2 individual assignments for the week. The first one is going to be identifying your skills. You're going to put together a skills-based resume that you're going to hand off to the other team members in your team. It's going to be a basic understanding of your skill sets currently, where you excel in project management. So you'll see that the resume that we've got set up for you that you're going to go into the template and fill out has specific questions. If you're good at Microsoft Project, if you're good at Microsoft Word, if you're good at Microsoft PowerPoint, if you're valuable from an analysis standpoint, if you've got a specialty in FEMA, in any of the high technology areas and the critical areas for us as we're putting together a project proposal, we want you to identify those. That gives your team a chance to understand where your capabilities are, where your strengths are, potentially where you may have weak or gaps. And we want you to be able to share that openly with only your team members, so that as you're pulling together your team, you really get to understand what that is. That is an individual assignment. Now, the other assignment that you've got lined up for you is going to be the team leadership report. Now, that is another individual assignment, and that is whoever the team leader will be for week 1 will fill this particular leadership report out. It's got questions specifically on how your project's going, where you're positioned at this point in time, and how you plan to move forward. This document also is an open document, and that means that this should be shared with all the team members when you're done, in addition to turning it in for grading, but it is also meant to be something for the week 2 team leader to pick up and review and see where we're at position-wise, because you could be fast-tracking certain elements. You could be moving forward ahead of schedule. They would need to know that so they can pick up and run with that. Now, those are the 2 individual assignments that you've got set up for you this week. In addition to that, the next thing we've got are going to be the team assignments. From a weekly standpoint, you're going to have a variety of different team-based assignments. So you're going to see that you have a team contract that is required to be filled out. You'll see that there's a variety of information in there. It is the norms. It is the I'll call it the guts of what your team is going to need to be able to understand, and everyone needs to actually read it, add information to it, and I would say sign it as a team contract. If it's submitted by one person, that's fine. If everyone submits it in their grade book, that's fine. Either way works for me with this particular assignment. Now, with the rest of the assignments, what I really need is I need the team leader to pick those up and run with it. So you can see you've got a course project proposal and input. You've got a project proposal form, and you've got a course project abstract and a list of potential energy systems that you can pick. So you're going to use those to actually fill out the information on your project proposal. You'll be submitting a project proposal. In that project proposal form to me, you'll be identifying first your unique team name. I want you all to think of a team name for yourself, something that separates you from the other teams, something that's unique that characterizes all of you as you're working together for the next 6 weeks. In addition to that, you have to identify the project that you want to work on, and you'll see that in that list of potential new energy systems, there's a variety. There's 20 to 30 different projects you can pick. You're going to pick only one of them. Select one that all of you want to work on. They're different high technology areas, and remember that having a background information in that project can be useful, but may not be as useful as you think, because we're going to micromanage you into working the details of the project, not the technical components of it, with the exception of that mega driver that you're going to see bouncing back and forth each week. Now, once we're done with that, the next piece I want to talk to you about is your week 1 discussion activities. You've got 2 different threaded discussion activities that you're going to be conducting each week. You have to do 3 threaded discussions on 3 separate days to get full credit for the discussion activities. That would mean you have a total of 6 different discussion threads that you need to respond to and provide information for you to really get full credit. Okay, so you're going to see that, in this particular one, we're going to be talking about a project. So week 1, it's going to be project. What is a project? How do we formulate a project? What is the definition of a project? What's the difference between a project and a program? Those are going to be the discussion activities that you will engage in for this particular week. You'll see those in the Canvas module. All of these are going to be in separate elements. Now, the final thing I want to walk you through is the readings. So for this particular week, you're going to be jumping into 2 different textbooks to work on. The first one is going to be the PMBOK, the new PMBOK guide, and I wanted to kind of walk you through exactly what we're going to be covering, because the PMBOK guide is broken up into 2 different sections. The first section is what we're going to cover in week 1. So you're going to be responsible for reading the first piece, which is the section for standards, the standard for project management, and that is going to start in its own section. I want you to understand that you've got pages from the introduction in that, which are pages 3 through 7, and then we're going to talk about a system for value delivery. And the new PMBOK really focuses on that is the objective of a project. It is a system for value delivery, and those are going to be pages 7 through 20, and then finally we're going to talk about project management principles, and those project management principles are going to be covered in pages 21 through 59. And once again, it's going to be in the front blue section. Now, when you get past the front blue section, when you get past that initial component, you're going to be jumping into another area, and that other area is going to have a red section on it. So let me just get us over to that particular area so that you can see the difference between the 2. I want to make sure that you really understand that there's a front end to this, and then there's a back end. The back end is based upon a different set of types of information from a project management standpoint that we're providing you. So once you get into the back end, let me just finish off here. And I apologize for the amount of time it's taking me to actually find it. You're going to see that inside it, you're going to be talking about domains. So when we get into module 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, we're going to be talking about project management domains and the elements to those. But in week 1, we want you to cover that first piece of information. Now, the next thing from a reading standpoint you've got in front of you is your project management textbook. Whether you've got the hard copy or whether you've got the digital version, any copy you can get, I think you're going to find that this is probably one of the best textbooks that's out there. It's the Larson and Gray version of this. I've gone through 7 different versions of this. I've seen it from version 1 all the way up into module 8E, which is the version that we're going to be using. I can tell you that this has great information in it. Now, one of the things I will tell you is if for some reason you can't get a hold of version 8E, but you can get a hold of version 7 or 6, let me know if that's the only thing you have access to, and I can correlate for you which pages and which sections you need to be covering. But in module 1, we're going to cover 2 chapters, chapter 1 and chapter 2. And in chapter 1, we're going to talk about modern project management. Those are going to be pages 2 through 27. And then the next piece of it is going to be chapter 2, where we're going to talk about the organizational strategy and project selection, how that fits into your project management perspective. Now, this is the course module at a snapshot. This is a 10,000-foot view, and I wanted you to see all the moving pieces in one view. So let me know if you run into any problems, issues, or concerns as we're going through the week. You know that you can contact me via email, cell phone, text message. Also, during our live Zoom lecture, you have an opportunity to ask me any questions that you've got there. Now, don't forget also, you have a team environment. So there is a team environment. If you go to people in your tabs, you'll see that your team is listed there. You've been selected to be on a specific team. And in that team portal, we've lined up specific areas for you to talk to yourself in. In addition to that, there's some level of collaboration that you'll be able to do. Now, in MSE 608B, we started introducing you to the Monday.com tool and its use in collaboration. We would like you, it's not mandatory, but we would really focus on having you work with that tool again, lay out all of the assignments, lay out all the components again, and use that as a collaboration tool for yourself. We want you to focus on that because it has some capabilities that we can toggle over into later on, which may be beneficial for you. We can crank out a Gantt chart. We can get some additional information for you that I think will be valuable for you, and we want you to really understand that particular tool as we continue to move forward. Okay, listen, have a great week. Congratulations on starting week 1. It's going to seem like this course goes really fast compared to the other ones because it's an abbreviated course. It's only 6 modules long, but you will get all the information you need to be an incredible, incredible project manager leading and managing high technology teams. Okay, have a great one. Bye-bye.